Tonight on Cosmic Cantina, we're tripping balls on all kinds of psychedelics, with studies into the realm of plant medicine showing huge promise for sufferers of mental disorders. Could actually having a full-on hallucinatory shamanic experience also be beneficial? Meeting reptilian entities, getting fingered by the beholder, and experiencing past lives. It's all good! So brew some tree bark and grab a puke bucket, because we're breaking down the giddy highs and the terrifying lows of the journey to the spirit realm. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and every week I go to my favorite bar, Cosmic Cantina, and kick back with my co-hosts, Josh Golembeski and Matt O'Connor. We talk about aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, ancient cultures, and anything from the unseen world that needs a little illumination. Welcome to Cosmic Cantina. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and tonight I'm drinking one of Old Man Tittle's beers again because there's still some in my fridge. Oh, yeah. Tittle family.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff.
Nice.
Old Man Tittle's beer. Yeah.
What are you guys drinking?
Well, tonight I am drinking the one beer I always drink. I'm surprised this is a question at this point.
Of course he is.
It's called Ghost
I was
Fish.
just gonna
It's
say-
a grapefruit flavored IPA. It's gluten-free, and I'm standing strong. I want to say life is good right now. I keep seeing 11:11 everywhere, and it's telling me that I should keep drinking Ghost Fish. So I'm on the right
It's
path.
probably
people.
the beer, yeah.
We're actually going to stop
Oh.
asking Josh what he's drinking because
I know. I was just going to
literally
say.
the same goddamn
we
thing every
don't
time.
really need to ask Josh. We know what he's drinking. Yeah. Oh,
Okay, Matt.
by the way, they gave us a like on Instagram too. So
Who? Who
What?
did?
Is
Ghost
that
Fish.
real? That's real news?
Yeah,
Seriously?
Oh, my God!
Holy
That's
shit.
amazing!
because you
Wow.
sent him a message, right? And then they
I did.
and then they
I did.
sent you a love heart and a kissy face.
Oh, man, I'm in
They
love.
love your work.
Wow, I
Yeah.
really I sent them like an overly aggressively friendly message. I'm so happy they responded.
Yeah.
It makes my day.
Yeah, it was pretty gooey. Yeah. But they
Wow,
loved
you're
it.
so close to getting free beer. I can feel it. All right, Matt, what are you drinking?
Almost there. I have a pineapple passion fruit cider, and it is the sweetest saccharin. Man, I can barely finish it. There's so much sugar in this, so I'm climbing the walls with sugar rush right now. So I might have to switch
Yeah.
over to a Modelo later on. But that's what I got straight up here. Yeah, too sweet.
Sweet. Awesome. I just want to thank everybody for your amazing reviews you've been leaving us. We are so thankful. Send more, please, with lots of stars. And
Yes.
please send Josh
Loving it.
Ghostfish.
Send me Ghost Fish. It's
All right,
4:11
so-
right now. All right, go on.
Tonight, we're going to talk about something that we talk about a lot, actually, where we work. Psychedelics. Yeah. Woo!
Oh boy.
So this just is a recent article, actually, in the Scientific American. I just want to say that I've done a couple psychedelic shows. One of them was for Chelsea Handler and her docuseries on Netflix. And this is when it was still kind of like MAPS is a huge organization that does a lot of testing. They've been doing it for a while, and they've had a lot of success. But now they're this year specifically, they're really getting a lot of universities on board to support this one organization who's been testing psychedelics. So this article in Scientific American is talking about Johns Hopkins scientists give psychedelics a serious treatment. So this article goes into the fact that they're really getting into the data. They're not looking at it like some snake oil anymore. They're really monitoring people and taking all the information down and creating like strategic data that says like, look, this is definitely helping people who have depression or PTSD and a lot of other neurological disorders. This is a quote from the article. The application suggests for these drugs may be a big part of what makes them sound to many like snake oil, but the data is very compelling, says one of the scientists, and psychedelics may not only hold hope for treating mental disorders, but they provide an opportunity to peer into the basic neuroscience of how these drugs affect brain activity and worldview in a way that is ultimately very healthy. So this is great, like huge.
Ooh, nice.
John Hopkins is a massive institute, so they're like all over this and kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
So before we go into both of your awesome stories, I want to talk about a negative side of some of this stuff.
Ooh, okay.
It's like
Is
I'm
there a
setting-
negative side to drugs? Are you serious?
What are you saying, Melissa?
I'm such a buzzkill. Well, specifically, this is a story from Vice, and it talks about how crappy ayahuasca can kill you. But mostly this story is about how there's just a lot of white people going down to Peru, and I'm like, just want to do ayahuasca, and they go to a shaman who has no training, gives them ayahuasca. And so this talks about how a couple kids ended up dying because they physically weren't ready for the drug. So I'll just kind of explain this. I don't mean to be a downer, but I think it's an important lesson on setting up for a mental journey that's different than scientific testing at Johns Hopkins. So I'm just going to read this a little bit. A British teenager died after drinking ayahuasca in South America. 19-year-old Henry Miller, a student from Bristol, England, died in Colombia after taking part in a shamanic ceremony. This person that they interviewed, Robert Tyndall, who's really big in the space, he's written a lot of books on shamanic journey. He does ayahuasca a lot. He says, it used to be that it took about at least 20 years to be an apprentice as a shaman. And now there are people claiming they are shamans with 2 or 3 years experience. There's no quality control. There's no knowledge of lineage. So Westerners go online, see Amazon Retreat, and it doesn't even occur to them to inquire who the shaman is and what their lineage is. Whether he recommends that you do your research, and that when he takes people down for these Amazon retreats, they do extensive interviews with these people. They walk them through like their mental, if they have mental illness, if they have any issues, they change their diet before they can even board the plane to go down to Peru. So the other concern is that people that, maybe you won't die, maybe you just have a psychedelic experience, but the other concern is that then a lot of people that have good experiences see demons and dark entities. That's kind of part of the journey. You kind of see your shadow self, if you will. But
yeah. I've seen some shit. Yeah.
But the thing is that dark shit, like, if you're not ready for it, it kind of attaches itself to you. So you might be coming out of it with a worse mental state if you didn't prepare for what it is you're trying to clear. So that's kind of what this article is about. I just think it's an interesting setup to some of the stories we're going to hear.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you think about how it used to be, the shamanic tradition, how if you look at anthropologists and stuff who have studied this thing, and I'm actually going to go into a story of an anthropologist, but this is something that, like, you take a long time to prepare for, like, not just mentally, but also physically. So you sometimes you go on a diet, a really restricted diet before you go on these things. Not just ayahuasca, but other hallucinogens as well. And it's like it's a ceremony. There's like this emotional intention that you need to put in it. It's not just like, oh man, let's go see some crazy shit and see what happens, and hopefully I come out the other side and I'm enlightened. They are people are just missing out on the whole spiritual side of it, basically.
Right.
They
They're
want a
just
spiritual
going.
journey. Yeah, but they're going just because, it's like fun to say I did ayahuasca now.
It's like cool, man. Like, I totally saw like demons and angels, and I get like it's a multi-dimensional universe and shit. But now I'm super fucked up.
Yeah. And I just vomited all down myself and shat my pants. But I'm tripping balls, so it's all good. Yeah. And the other thing was, I wanted to say, I think it's good that we're kind of, with that first Johns Hopkins study that you mentioned, that we're kind of getting rid of the whole stigma about some of these drugs and medicines and stuff like that. Because I think,
because they're not drugs.
There is a lot.
They're medicines. They're not drugs.
Medicines, yeah. I think there is a lot of. There is a lot of people who. Josh, weren't you telling me someone family member or friend who had some sort of terminal illness and they were taking, I don't know, CBD or some sort of.
No. My grandmother was taking cannabis and she loved it, but then was suddenly like, no. This is for those people who smoke the wacky tobacco. You can't take cannabis. It wasn't mushrooms, but there are a lot of studies, and mushrooms are used in end-of-life therapy, and they're really tremendous with helping people with the fear of death. I've heard that a bunch.
Yeah. But just that stigma of, it sounded like, it was helping her, but she didn't want to be associated with the drug of taking marijuana. So it was just like, if it's working, what does it matter,
Yeah, and it's safe. And there's actually enough evidence about these things that they're largely safe. There's a lot of science already. It's not like it hasn't been studied, too. It's almost like Johns Hopkins is late to the game. There's other large-scale universal studies going on. This has been going on for a while. I really feel like it could be one of those tools that could really help humanity. Like every block should have like their own like ayahuasca center where you go in with a shaman and a doctor and they take your vitals and make sure you're safe to go. You know what I mean? It should be like sanctioned. It could have like a major effect on society.
Yeah.
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 I think so too.
I think so too. So, but I like talking about both sides of the things. I'm a total supportive of it. I just think like there's just a lot of people that are excited about it and just are like doing it, and you can actually make yourself worse if you're not like mentally prepared. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
so it's going to be a pretty big. It's big industry now, isn't it? Of like Westerners going over to these countries and just taking some concoction, and
you don't even have to do that. Woo. I mean, just where we live alone, there's like some asshole doing it every weekend. You know, just like come to my house and like just trip out, man, and like talk about feelings.
Especially in Colorado.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
it's like
you can walk into accidentally an ayahuasca session just happening in someone's apartment. Like it's pretty commonplace.
Yeah, it's pretty common now. Yeah, everyone just throwing up in a bucket together. We're having a good time. Yeah.
Like I've done it, and you do get sick, right? But, you know, I had this shaman like walk me through like all the processes, and it was, you know, it was crazy. It was interesting, and I did see a lot of dark shit, but I did feel amazing afterwards. Like I don't know what it was. It was like this.
What medicine?
Tell me
was
about
it?
the dark things. Oh, ayahuasca, right?
Yeah, it was ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Ooh, tell me the story. Tell me the darkness.
So it was just I was like in a cabin, like that night, like sleeping alone, and it just like I had to leave all the lights on. I just felt like this like darkness was like encroaching on me, like, and everywhere I turned, I just felt like I could see like faces and like demons and like, and it was awful. and then but after like
welcome to my dreams.
Yeah, the dark one.
The darkness.
But after it wore off, and I was kind of like back to like Melissa in like 3-dimensional reality, I felt like I had released something. I don't know how it worked, but like the shaman and I talked it through. Like we had a conversation about it. We talked it through, asked what I saw, like how does that make me feel, like all that afterwards. And I don't know if that helped the process or whatever. But, you know, I'm like I've said, I think it's interesting, and I'm totally supportive. I'm just saying there's a lot. We talk about a lot of dark shit on here, and there's a lot of dark entities that get attached to people in places that are when they're vulnerable like that. What did you find, Matt? Did you find anything dark, since that's your forte?
I did. It did get a little dark, which is different for me. I found a little story about a fella named Michael Harner. And he was apparently the first Western anthropologist to take ayahuasca, and he did it with he did it in 1956, and he did it with the Shipibo Conibo tribe of Peruvian Amazon.
Ooh.
So shout out to the Conibo tribe if you're listening. No, I'm kidding. He wrote a series of books. I don't
know why that was so funny.
That was silly. I was being silly. So he wrote this one book called The Way of the Shaman, and this came out in 1980. But it had this story in it where it was super intense, apparently. So he did ayahuasca, and like I said, one of the first people, if not the first, Western white man to take this stuff. He did this big ceremony with the actual shaman. So when he was doing this, going through the initial stages of taking the medicine, obviously, like we talked about, you go through this purge. And now, I don't know how much they warned him about this, but he legit thought he was going to die during this stage. Like, he thought he was, like, just not just purging his guts up, but, just purging his body and soul. He must have been having a real rough one. And we've all been there. We've had a big night, but this guy was just, like, losing his shit, literally. But I think he said he thought he was literally going to die, right? So this is what he said. He said, "Now, I was virtually certain I was going to die. As I tried to accept my fate, an even lower portion of my brain began to transmit more visions and information. I was told that this new material was being presented to me because I was dying, and therefore safe to receive these revelations. These were secrets reserved for the dying and the dead, I was informed." So I don't know necessarily. You know, we talk about. We haven't talked about